This would be a 3-1. 3-1 will be some of our early maturity. We've got some 2-9s as well. You know, for us, in our acres, it's logistics, so we want to get going as soon as possible. So we always have 1,000 acres of early beans, and a lot of times that will lead to an opportunity to deliver early in harvest where, you know, supply of old crops gone, new crops not coming in yet. So, you know, usually a good opportunity to capture some money.
We're still modulating, so we're still fixating nitrogen. In a soybean plants build up nitrogen throughout the growing season, and then when it gets into its later R stages, like that R4 into R5, nodulation comes to an end. So you got to make sure that you've got the nitrogen built up inside of a plant. Things to think about that most people don't even consider with a soybean plant, because we just automatically assume that they make their own nitrogen, and they do, as long as you have conditions that are conducive to allow this plant to make nitrogen. What I mean by that is you got to have timely rainfalls. Right? Back when I was a kid, I used to annoy my parents, and we'd go out to a restaurant and I'd take a straw and I'd stick in a glass of water or a Coke, and I would put my finger on it and I'd pull it up and I'd let it go, and it would splash all everywhere, and then my mom and dad would yell at me, right? And if you think about the process of what that straw was doing, when I let go of that water and it splashed down, that's like a soil pore, right? And when it rains and drains, you know, what followed that water through that straw was air, and 78% of what we breathe is atmospheric nitrogen, and it has to rain and drain and suck that air down, just like letting that water out of that straw and allowing it to go down through that straw, through that pore. And we take for granted sometimes in farming that this is always getting the amount of nitrogen that it needs. Like if we're dry, there is no raining and draining. Or if we're too wet, which in some cases across the Midwest, we've had some really wet weather and we've had some saturated soils. If we've been sitting in a saturated soil, you're not getting that air that's getting pulled down in that soil profile, and it's not getting what it needs. And if you always think about the demand and when a plant uses nitrogen, the highest demand is in late season, just like corn, right? That demand curve gets in those later R stages, and the demand, it's actually utilization, is taken late. So it builds it up, and then it utilizes it late into that reproduction time frame, which is where we're at now.